This is an introduction on Git branching and merging. So to list out the branches that we currently have, you can just run git branch with no arguments. Git show branch will show you the branches that you currently have and where they are in relation to each other. And it goes back until they merge, until they have a common parent. If you want to switch branches, the command is git checkout, and we can take a look through git k here that we've switched branches to develop, and we've had changes in both of them, and they've diverged, and by the boldness we can see that we're on develop. So now I'm going to apply a patch that I have so that I can modify a couple of files at once. And so let's say that I've applied this patch. You can either use git apply or you can use the patch command. And I'm going to commit. If you run commit with -v, you can see the diff, so I can take a look at what the patch applied. Normally you would run through a test process, you would know what it is, but just for sake of demonstration here, the stars tell you which one you're on. So we're on the develop branch, and you can see that we have 2 commits that the master branch doesn't, and the master branch has 1 commit with the plus there that the develop branch doesn't. So we're going to make one more change. We're going to add a comment of what we just added into our history file, and we're going to commit that one again. So instead of committing that, we're going to run git stash, and git stash is going to take that modified file and it's going to put it in a special thing that Git has called a stash, which sort of just takes that diff and puts it away and cleans out your branch so you can do other stuff. So I want to switch back to my master branch, so I stashed the changes that I didn't want to commit yet, and then I'm able to check out master, because you can't switch branches if you have pending changes. So stash is a good way of being able to put those aside for a while in order to make your working directory clean. And now I'm going to go back to the master branch, apply another patch, and commit that. This would be useful if you were working on something in development and you needed to do something in production, have a hotfix or something. You can stash what you're working on, move back over to the master branch, make a change that you need, and then go back and continue where you left off. So we can see our develop branch is at this point, and we have 2 commits and some stashes at that point, and our master branch has 2 changes since they've diverged. So if we run git branch, we can see that we're on our master branch. If we run show branch, we can see that these have diverged. There's 2 changes on develop that aren't on master, and vice versa. So I'm going to switch back to my develop branch, and if I run show branch again, you can see that the stars have changed from this side to this side, indicating which one I'm actually on. So now I'm going to do a merge. I'm on my development branch, so I'm going to merge in the changes that are on my master branch. Those 2 changes that I, say I pushed out to production or something, I want to go back to my development branch. I want to pull them in so that we don't continue to work out of sync. And when I did so, I could see that I had a conflict. So I opened up the base.rb file, which is where it said I had the conflict, and you can see the conflict message here. So I'm going to go with the master branch version and go ahead and edit out, and then you have to run git add on the file in order to commit it. So once you clear a conflict, you have to run git add on it, and then you run git commit, and you can see that this is what happens when you run into a conflict when you try and do a merge commit and it fails. So now I've run the commit, which means I've merged in the changes from the master branch, those 2 commits, into my current develop branch. And if I run show branch again, I can see that I've lost a lot of the changes because they haven't diverged for much. All that I have is I have 1 commit in my develop branch that is the merge commit, that really differs from the master branch. So now I'm going to start a new branch. I'm going to work on a story card. Say I'm using a Scrum development. I have story 80 and I'm going to work on it. And so I want to start a new branch and do all of my work in there. And when I'm done, merge it into my develop branch. And when I'm done with that, merge that into my master branch. And in this workflow, I'm keeping master and develop at all times. Master is always stable. Develop is always what I'm currently working on. And then I branch out into new stories for each individual thing that I'm working on. So now I'm going to apply the stash that I had stashed away before. And you can keep more than one stash. If you continue to run git stash, it'll just add to the queue. And so I can apply any of the stashes that I want to. If you just run git stash apply, it'll run the one at the top. If you run git stash clear, it'll clear them out. So if you run it twice, you can only run git stash if you have a clean state. So I've applied one. I'm going to have to commit this before I can apply the other one. You run git stash list, again, you can see the list of the stashes that you have. And if you want to apply some specific stash rather than the top, you can say git stash apply and then the name of the stash. On this particular one, I've already applied that stash, so I don't need to again. But for the second stash, you can see that it changed the README file. So if I run status, you can see that it changes the working directory. It changes the files that are there, but it does not commit them, right? So I can still continue to work on it, and then I can run a commit. And now I can see that on my story branch, I have two commits that were not in my develop branch and were not in my master branch. So I'm gonna have to fold those in. With git k, I can see the two commits that I have off of my develop branch, and I can see that my master branch is 3 commits behind. So I'm going to switch back to my development branch and pull in the changes on the story branch that I just had. And I can run a git merge to merge those in. And basically, since develop was a direct ancestor of the story, it just did a fast forward, which it says right there with fast forward, which means it just moved the reference forward. It didn't really do much. But it tells you what the differences between the branches were. And again, I can check out the master branch, run merge develop, and that will fast forward the master branch to where develop was. So now they're all 3 at the same point. And now I don't need the story branch anymore, so I can go ahead and get rid of that. And the way you get rid of a branch, a temporary branch you don't need anymore, is you run git branch -d and the name of the branch, and that will get rid of it. So first let's see what we have, and you can see that I have the 3 branches and they're all at the same state. So I'm going to delete my story 80 branch since I already have 2 other branches pointing to that commit and I just don't need it anymore. So I'm going to go back to my development branch because that's where further work would get done. Now that I look, I can see my development branch and my master branch are once again in the same spot.